Another update, Sandra Birchmore. We have talked about this case for, I believe, the last 2 years. She was the young woman from Massachusetts who had joined the Police Cadet Academy when she was just 13 years old. It was called the Young Explorers Program, and was groomed by a lot of the law enforcement guys, like the older ones. There was also a lot of different layers involved, and it became a big point of conversation because some of the same people involved in Sandra's case and the handling of her case were also involved in the infamous Karen Reed case. And we all know the disaster that happened within that case and the mishandling of things and the cover-ups and all of that. But anyway, and that's regardless if you think Karen is innocent or guilty. I mean, the case was handled like shit, complete shit. So anyway, Sandra Birchmore, she started in the Explorers program when she was 13. She was coerced and groomed into these relationships with these officers. And then she ended up getting pregnant. She was found inside her apartment with a fabric or rope, I can't remember exactly the material, attached to the doorknob, and it looked as though she had taken her own life. Come to find out, she thought she was pregnant by one of these officers that she had been having a sexual relationship with. He also went to her apartment that day and didn't want her to have the baby. He had another child born with his wife literally moments earlier. And so he ended up being arrested and charged with Sandra's murder and staging the crime scene. And that it was all, the thought was, okay, the motive was he wanted to cover up that she was pregnant with his child. Come to find out, after DNA testing, it wasn't his child. So it's like you killed this girl and covered up the crime scene, made it look like something else because you were so scared that you were going to be caught. It wasn't even your kid, like a disaster. But anyway, there have been some updates in that case, and we actually just did a full deep dive this week on 10 to Life. So you can get fully caught up with that case, all of the updates, the whole backstory. It is a wild one. It really, really is. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's right here on YouTube. But if you are listening to the audio version of this episode, what you're going to want to do is open up your podcast app, search the podcast 10 to Life, and you'll see the episode there. Just a friendly reminder, new episodes come out every single Tuesday over there. So you have new episodes every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and every other Friday between the two podcasts. So Sandra Birchmore is over there, released this week. And the other update that I wanted to just briefly touch on before we get into today's cases is that the Brian Walshe trial is starting this week. And they finished up some hearings at the beginning of the week, and they were going into jury selection. But Brian Walshe is accused of murdering his wife, Anna Walshe. And this case we covered as well. I will link the deep dive for you so that you can get fully caught up before the trial is like fully, in the throes of everything. But this guy's a moron. I mean, first of all, he looks like, who's that character from Family Guy with the really square head? Quagmire. He looks like him, and he is a total moron. He Googled all sorts of crazy things when she went missing. Things like how to dispose of a human body, what's the best way to basically a playbook for a murderer. And they found all of his Google searches. And it's kind of been a wild ride since he's been in jail awaiting trial too. So the trial is finally starting. We will cover it. I either will put the updates in headline highlights at the top of the episodes and bake them in, or if you feel like you just want an additional recap episode each week for this trial, since it is set to be a big one, let me know. We can definitely look into doing that. But I will link the deep dive to that case so that you can get fully caught up. That will be in the show notes. That was a lot of updates. I didn't mean to be talking to you for 13 minutes and 50 seconds, but there was a lot to go over. So now let's start getting into the new cases of this week.